Let's have a conversation. Tell me what you think about the issues of the world. What kind of spice you wanna be? Tell me where you wanna travel. Do you believe in luxury? What's your hidden passion? What makes you so unique? Conversations with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole.
What was interesting, when we were traveling, someone ran into someone who had met me and said, "Oh yeah, I just met a lady yesterday and she was talking about FAMU, short hair, real tall. That's Heidi." Me and my husband, we're talking about coming to homecoming because of her.
Because of you. Look, you sure you're
And
not
that's my job.
a cheerleader for FAMU?
No.
And for this
I
30-year reunion
I
coming
am
up,
a
right?
public relations professional.
You are.
My job is to be a professional communicator and influencer, and I did my job.
You did do your job.
Because 24 hours after talking to me, this woman remembered the conversation, and she said that she was changing her behavior because of her interaction with me.
You good.
So I did my job.
You good.
Go FAMU.
Yes.
Thanks
Love
up.
it. Fangs up. Love it. Love it. Love it. Well, greetings. This is Nicole Everett with Conversations with Nicole. We're here at Nefertari's Fine Cuisine here in Tallahassee, Florida. And my special guest today is Miss Heidi Otway, the president of Salter Mitchell PR and the chair of the Tallahassee Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, Heidi.
Hi, glad to be here. Thank you.
I'm so glad you're here with me today.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. So you and I, as we were briefly discussing, came to FAMU some 30 years ago.
30 years ago. It doesn't seem that long.
I know. And from that time to this, you have gotten married, have children, 3 children.
Yeah.
Yes.
Traveled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And president of
A PR firm in Tallahassee, award-winning. The
award-winning.
business is good, and I am super, super blessed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Indeed. And chair
Of the chamber.
of the Tallahassee Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
The
yeah.
second African American in their 95-year history.
That's correct.
Wow.
I know.
What's that been like?
It's been great. As I get toward the end of my term, I'm starting to reflect on the significance of this position and the significance of my role and the significance of what I have been able to do in this really short window. It's gone by really, really fast. And I lay there and I'm like, wow.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
It's a big
And,
deal.
you know, I share this with people all the time. I'm so focused on doing that I don't spend a lot of time reflecting. You know, it's always on to the next, on to the next, on to the next. And I've already got in mind what I'm going to do next after I'm chair.
Okay.
But I take moments now and I try to reflect on things that I've experienced, accomplished, and this is one of those that just really shakes me to the core of, you did that.
I'll bet.
And it's like, how did I do that? How did I get here? And it's been great, and I feel honored, and I feel a great sense of responsibility in this position. And I hope that when my term ends, you know, I can look back, my board can look back, our business community can look back and say, Heidi moved the needle. Heidi moved the needle in whatever they saw, but they can say that I did something that improved the business community.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about that great sense of responsibility that you felt
Well,
or have felt.
I mean, in this role, I am the voice of Tallahassee's business community. And when I say things, people listen, people pay attention. And so I have to be very thoughtful in what I say. I have to be thoughtful in where I go, I have to be thoughtful, because if I do something or say something, it could be perceived that I'm representing the whole business community, when it could be my own personal opinion. So
Right.
I have to have that balance there. And so I take that very seriously. I do not want to discredit our business community. I do not want to misrepresent our business community. I want to position our business community in the most positive light possible, because our role as members of the chamber is to really showcase the strength of our private sector industries.
Right.
And so my job is to represent that. I'm a private sector business leader who runs a private sector company that is trying to grow and expand and hire and attract other businesses that I could then get to become my clients. So it's a big web.
It is. And it has a big ripple effect.
And
too.
it has a ripple effect. And the last thing I want to do is make waves that aren't positive for our community or for the business community.
About how many business members are there?
We have 1,400 members that represent over 60,000 employees in our community.
That's huge.
It is huge. It is huge. And,
It's huge.
you know, we want to grow that. We have to grow that. Tallahassee is perceived as a government town, is perceived as a university town, and government is public sector, university is public sector,
Right.
but it's the private sector that really is where the job creation is. It really is. And in order for Tallahassee to grow, in order for us to be that, you know, vibrant city that we want it to be, we need more firms like mine. We need more private sector. We need, you know, bigger firms that say, hey, I want to relocate to Tallahassee because we have the universities, we have the talent, we have the Mag Lab, we have an amazing healthcare system. We have those things. We have housing. I mean, we're seeing more development in Tallahassee when it comes to housing. So it's really important. It's a big deal. We have to grow our private sector.
What goals did you set as chamber chair?
So one goal was to keep talent here and to really focus on trying to make Tallahassee attractive to the students at Florida A&M and Florida State. And so we've done a number of programs over the past year that we're going to keep doing to really show students that Tallahassee is a great place to live, work, and play. As a matter of fact, before I sat down to do this interview with you, I got an email about a new program that has started up over the last couple of weeks, where college students are being invited to a dinner with established business leaders in our community to get them off campus, get them into a beautiful restaurant. You know, this could be a great place. Nefertari's could be a great place to host
It is a great
one of
place.
these events, and I will recommend it.
Please do.
And then get them to hear from businesses in Tallahassee and find out, why did you stay? What does your business do? We also have a job hop where we have students come off campus and actually come into a business, whether they want to be accountants or engineers or work in communications and PR. And they walk into these businesses and they're like, oh my God, this is just like a business in Atlanta. This is just like a business in Miami. This is just like a business in New York. You work with clients like the agencies in the big cities.
Yeah.
And it's eye-opening for them, and they rethink Tallahassee.
We are Cumulus Broadcasting Tallahassee, the power of radio. Proud sponsor of Conversations with Nicole, connecting the community through conversations.
Here as a student, but
Oh,
you
yeah.
also left and you came back. What
Yeah.
brought you back?
So I graduated from FAMU, got married, had my oldest daughter, and I came back for a job.
Okay. Well, that's a good reason.
I came back for a job, and I worked here in television news at CONUS Communications, and I was one of the youngest members of the Capitol Press Corps covering state government.
Okay.
And I did that, and then I got lured back to Miami to work at WSVN down there. And then I got lured to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I worked over there as an assignment manager. And then I got lured back to Tallahassee.
You know, it has a hold on you, doesn't
It
it?
does. It does. So my husband and I, we've tried to leave Tallahassee 3 times. And every time we left, we got lured back. And we just love it because it was a great place to raise our kids. We got great job opportunities. And it's a small pond. So we were able to kind of grow quickly, and I think that's what we're trying to show the younger people, to think about, well, if you go to Atlanta, you may have to work a little bit harder to get in the C-suite. If you go to New York, well, you can forget about that. It was going to take you a very long time. But in Tallahassee, if you have a strong work ethic, if you have skills, if you are a go-getter, if you have natural leadership ability, I mean, and if you're just a good worker, you can go far, and you can move up the ladder quicker.
Yes.
And the money you make, you can have a great quality of life.
One of the things that I've noticed here is that, you know, it's as if you're able to launch quicker than if you go to a larger area, because it's a smaller space or smaller place,
Community,
but the community, but the networks give opportunity for you to, you know, work in government, work in, you
Private
know, private sector.
That's,
Yes,
private sector.
so-
Yeah, I mean, I think there's huge opportunities here, and you can find what you're looking for. You know, I mean, I wanted to work in television news when I graduated from FAMU, so I went home, and I could not find a job. So a classmate of mine said, "Oh, Heidi, you know, CONUS Communications is looking for associate producer." I'm like, "CONUS, what is that?" So I looked it up, and I was like, "Oh, they run satellite news for all these stations across the country, and they're based in Tallahassee." So I applied, and after a phone interview, I got the job. So I came back to Tallahassee, and you all won't believe this, but I was making like $4.25 an hour.
No, we don't believe it. What were you, a server at a restaurant?
No, I mean, this was like in 1993.
Wow.
$4.25 an hour. Came back, had a new husband, new baby, and I did that for 4 months. And in that 4 months, I'm interviewing the governor, I'm interviewing university presidents, I'm covering the legislature, I'm covering some of the biggest news in the state of Florida, I'm chasing hurricanes, I'm having the time of my life.
This was your dream job, right in Tallahassee,
Right.
the place you were trying to get away from.
Yeah, I mean, when I graduated, my thought was, oh, I'm gonna go New York, or I'm gonna go to Atlanta, and I'm gonna work in TV news. But it all happened in Tallahassee. And so I did it for 4 months. I mean, it was an amazing experience.
That's awesome.
And someone came here and plucked me and said, "I like your work ethic. I like how you did that live shot, or you know, whatever it was I was doing. Why don't you come work with me in Miami?" And so I was like, "You gonna pay me more money?"
That's important. That's
I mean, I had a husband.
Yeah, and the
new
child.
baby.
You gotta,
Yeah, so I left because I got lured by an amazing opportunity and a bigger salary.
Okay.
With benefits.
Those benefits are important, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
Yes, yes. So what's your thought on small business incubators like in co-working spaces like Adomi Station or CoLab in terms of you know, helping startup businesses get started?
I'm a big fan of it. Okay. So I've been in Tallahassee now going on 20 plus 30 years. I mean, if you add the time I was here, the time I left, it's been a while. And I worked for some time with the Leon County Research and Development Authority. They were my client. And this probably was about 12 years ago. we started talking about incubators. We started talking about accelerators.
Okay.
We started talking about co-working space. And so we did a tour where we went to the University of Central Florida, and we toured their incubator and their accelerator and how they were really growing small businesses and giving them the resources that they needed. And we really tried to jumpstart it through Innovation Park almost, 12, 13 years ago. What amazes me is that it took almost a decade before it finally caught on in Tallahassee.
Yeah, that timing thing.
But you know what? When it did, it just
caught fire.
exploded.
Yeah, it caught
because
fire.
we've been wanting this for so long, and we've been needing this for so long.
Yes.
And my hope is that we don't take this long to see opportunities or to hear about things that are working in other cities and we bring it here. I think we now have people in our community who are looking at the landscape of other communities saying, how do they do that? How do they do that? Can we do that in Tallahassee? And I mean, we've done that with the chamber since I've been chair. We went to Nashville and we went to see what is Nashville doing that we could bring back to Tallahassee.
Okay.
And try to jumpstart or grow a specific sector or grow an industry or grow something that supports the private sector. And so we're seeing more of that, and I think that's what's going to help Tallahassee grow.
What did you see in Nashville that the business community has been able to bring back, or something that is similar that you saw in Nashville that we've implemented?
Well, what we did bring back was a conversation about whether we should consolidate our two governments. The other thing that we saw was the connectivity between the universities and the business community. There was a very strong collaboration between the two, and a number that we all brought back from Nashville was that Nashville has a 70% retention rate of students who graduate from the universities there.
Wow, that's tremendous.
70%.
70%.
70%. Now, Nashville's jumping, don't get me wrong. It's a bigger city. I mean, it's huge.
Right.
So there are reasons to stay. But we were looking at, well, what are those reasons? And what of those can we bring to Tallahassee?
And what are
that's
Tallahassee's reasons to stay
specific
too?
for us? And so a lot of the things that we're doing is, more collaboration with the students, bringing them off campus into the private sector businesses to see that, hey, we're jumping too.
Right, exactly. So stay.
And we've seen the needle move on that.
Good. That's awesome. I know there was a study that was done about through Harvard back in 2015 that talked about Tallahassee being an economically segregated community. Has the chamber looked at that at all?
Yeah.
That study and
in our study of whether we should merge our two governments, the conversation took a shift and said that before we can even consider our government structure, we need to take a deeper dive into our community. And we convened a group of 9 very well-respected, fully invested individuals in our community to serve on a blue ribbon committee to really take a deep dive into our community. And what are the things that are keeping us from growing our private sector and growing as a community? And one of the things they said was economic segregation. And I sat in the discussions where we had these really hard, tough conversations about our truth.
okay. So is there going to be a report on what the Blue Ribbon Committee is?
So it was a 120-day process that they went through to really look at our community collectively. Now, mind you, the initial idea was that they were going to go in and talk about whether we should merge our two governments,
Right.
but it became a bigger dialogue, and there were 9 things that came up. Economic segregation was there, and it was
Good.
discussed because it has to be.
It does.
You know, the have and have-nots, and then how can we create equity and make it fair,
Right.
So the 120-day process is coming to an end now,
Okay.
and we're going to be reporting out the findings and our action steps
Good.
at the chamber conference. Our
Okay.
board meeting is actually in
Looking forward
10
to
days.
Yeah, shortly.
And so we'll be sharing that with the community. But
Excellent.
first we need to share it internally with our board,
Right.
and then we're going to be unveiling that with the community.
Okay.
But it will be a community discussion about it, because the chamber, our mission is to be the catalyst, and so we're being the catalyst on these tough issues that we have to face if we want to grow
All
and if we
right.
want to move forward.
All right, you heard it from the chamber chair here on Conversations with Nicole, so be on the lookout for it. So let's move on to food. We're here at Nefertari's,
Yeah,
and you know, this is fine dining.
I know. I know.
So let's talk about food. What type
Yeah.
of food do you like?
I
If you have
like
a favorite
all
food.
kinds of food. I mean, seafood is my favorite.
Seafood is
I'm,
your
I'm a
favorite.
native. I'm a Florida native, born and raised. Grew up in Miami.
Yes.
Used to go fishing all the time. So seafood is like number one. But then I like good old-fashioned Southern food. You give me some collard greens and mac and cheese and fried chicken and a slide of cornbread.
Uh-huh.
And I'll tell you, for lunch today, I had sweet potato pie for lunch.
Oh, nice. Was it good?
It was amazing. Actually, I bought it before I went on vacation, and this morning when I woke up, I opened the fridge and it was sitting right there.
Waiting for you,
It
huh?
was waiting for me. So I brought it to work, and that was my lunch today.
Sweet potato pie?
Yes!
I love it. Okay. Fine, Heidi. Sweet potato pie for lunch.
And I just got back from the Caribbean and had some amazing Caribbean
I'm
food.
sure,
You know,
I'm sure,
plantains
yes.
and rice and
Yes,
peas.
yes.
It was some good stuff.
I'm jealous.
Don't be jealous.
All right. So if you could describe your life as a spice or a flavor, what would it be?
It would definitely be spicy.
Spicy.
I've had a spicy life because it's been fun and exciting, and you know, spice, you know, if you get spice in your mouth, you know, you get all jumpy and everything. So I would say that, you know, definitely spicy, because I have the spice of life. I am, you know, just so abundantly blessed and had so many kinds of experiences that people just dream of, and it's just like hot and awesome, and I got a chili pepper on my back, so as a tattoo. So, full disclosure. So yeah, spicy.
Okay, well, you seem
Spicy.
very excited about life, so
I am.
I think that's a great description.
Yeah, and it's so funny. When I worked at Channel 6, Frank Ranicky was the anchor there, and he looked at my name in the system, and it was, instead of Heidi Otway, it was Otway. So he started
Otway.
calling me
Otway.
Otway.
Oh my goodness. That's
So that's
funny.
been my nickname since Frank Ranicky
Okay.
christened me Otway. I would walk in the newsroom, hey Otway, and I'm like,
Hey.
So I think that truly encompasses, you know, hot life, you know, awesome, fun, exciting, you know, just the spice of life.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, what's the best advice that you've either given or received?
The best advice I've been given is to be a sponge. I can't tell you who told it to me. I just know that I give this advice to anyone that I mentor, and I mentor a lot of people. And I say, be a sponge. Wherever you're planted, learn. Don't act like you know it all, but try to learn, suck it all up, and just suck it all up, because even though you may not understand it when you're learning it and sucking it up, you know, and just really getting it, one day it's going to hit you. I know how to do that. Oh, I remember this nugget. I remember that experience. And then it just makes you better, a better person. So I walk into every experience saying, tell me more, tell me more. What do I need to know? What do I need to know? I want to learn, I want to learn, I want to learn. Because every day you should be learning.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I feel like we should be lifelong learners.
Lifelong learners, all the time. I'm even thinking, told my husband, so what are we going to be doing when we retire, you know, like in 40 years? Where are we going to learn? Where are we going to grow? You know, I'm already looking ahead. I tell you, I always look ahead and less reflecting. And I'm thinking about that, you know?
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. All right. Well, we're going to take a break right here.
Okay, great.
Okay. You all stay tuned for more conversations.
We are Cumulus Broadcasting Tallahassee, the power of radio. Proud sponsor of Conversations with Nicole, connecting the community through conversations.
Welcome back to Conversations with Nicole. As you can see, our food is here.
Oh my God. This looks amazing.
Okay, well, before we dig in, Heidi, I have one last question for you.
Sure.
What's the best thing about what you do?
The best thing about what I do as a PR practitioner, so going back to my business, is that I get to help people communicate with other people. And in this world of, you know, hyperconnectivity and social media and digital media and mobile phones, I constantly remind everyone that there's a person on the other side of that. And you can't just rely on your devices and these tools. You got to get back to real relationships with people. And so that's what I love about what I do, is that I get to help people create and build relationships.
Which is what Conversations with Nicole is all about. Well, I want to thank you for being my guest.
I'm grateful for the opportunity. I really am.
I'm so proud of you, and keep
Thank
doing
you.
your great work.
I will. I believe it is my purpose on this earth is to do what all the things that I do, I know they're ordained.
All right, love it. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. And thank you for joining us on Conversations with Nicole, where we're connecting the community through conversations. We'll see you next time.
Oh my God.